Welcome to Forging a Life podcast with Coach Christine Clark. Forging a Life is a Sunglow transformation production aired on Transformation Talk Radio and all your favorite podcast platforms. If you own a business, have a side hustle, desire to make the leap into self-employment, or just love human interest stories, Forging a Life podcast is for you. Christine Clark is an internationally certified transformational life coach. She is the coach for your entrepreneurial life, and these are her people. Jump into the fire with those forging success on their own terms with courage, tenacity, and resilience. These are men and women you could easily meet on the street in your own community. Gain wisdom, insight, knowledge, and inspiration each episode as these business owners get transparent with Coach Christine Clark, sharing their passions, challenges, and origin stories. This is Forging a Life.
Hello, this is Coach Christine Clark, and welcome to Forging a Life podcast. I have with me today two very wonderful people, Aisha and Jax Booth. They are both people who I have worked with as clients, and recently, in the last year, they have started on a journey to be a debt-free family. It's just absolutely fascinating what they have achieved and want to share with you the journey that they've been on. So Jax and Aisha, welcome to the show. Delighted to have you with me.
Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You are welcome. You are welcome. First, let's give people just a little bit of background. Have you tell us what each of you do, what's your jobs, what's your businesses?
I'm a registered representative and an assistant. So I'm a contractor to an insurance agent, and I help him with investments, health insurance, life insurance, property and casualty insurance, and I run his business when he's not there.
Awesome. And Jax, tell us a little bit about what you do.
I work at a local coffee shop in West Des Moines area. And I also work at a bubble tea place, first iterations of its kind here in Iowa. So it's been pretty cool.
Okay. So you work at both coffee shop and at the bubble tea shop.
Yes.
So is it fair to call you, are you a barista, or is there a different, or is that not a term we use?
So it's Bo-barista, because it's a mash of bubble tea and barista. So Bo-barista.
Bo-barista. Awesome. Beautiful. And I will do a plug for Jax. I know that one of your exceptional talents is remembering whatever somebody ordered. And when they come in again, no matter how long it's been, you know what they had last time, and you ask them, is this, or you'll already be making it. I experienced that when I got to, when you were at a different shop I was in, and I had something and came back and you knew exactly what I'd ordered before. It's like, oh, that blew me away. That was awesome. Yeah. So let's go back to, just where the idea to become a debt-free family came from. My experience, personal experience, is that money and all the energy around money and our thoughts about money and how this relationship that we have with it, is a huge piece. And I did a financial program and started realizing some of my own inner stories in relationship to money a long time ago. And it feels like a long time ago. It's a big thing. People will choose to and not to do things because of money, and money holds sway. And we sometimes let it run our lives. What we do or don't have, we'll make decisions based on what we think we can and can't afford. I came up with a different client just recently that she's tired of making choices based on cost rather than on, in her terms, what's right, meaning what's desired. So for you two, when did this come about to where did the awareness show up? And then B, where did the decision to let's do something about this?
I guess I started it.
That's very true.
It's very true. When I switched to the agent that I work with now, it came with a $12,000 pay cut. And I realized 6 months in to working with this new agent that I was still saving the same amount of money from every paycheck. And I thought, okay, how could that be when before I was making $1,000 more a month? And I kept thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And I just realized I wanted to do something to start tracking it and realizing what I was doing differently between the two agents, the two jobs. Yeah. And then all the realizations and realities happened of how bad it was for me.
Okay, because you said you took a huge pay cut, $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And you were saving the same amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So that extra 1,000 was like
Where'd
you didn't actually need it.
Yeah. Where did it go?
Not that we ever, we always want more money. So that's huge. That's amazing. How did you begin? Just you had the awareness. So what was your what was the start for you, Aisha?
So the awareness happened first, and then kind of that was probably late August, and then kind of a 3-week down spiral, chastising yourself and everything. And then it was okay, how do I make this better? And I just did a lot of research on budgeting applications and different platforms, and then just decided on one after hours and days of research. That's it. I mean, I dove headfirst into it.
Okay. So Jax, with Aisha going through this, deciding she's going to do something, and like you both agreed, she started it. So Jax, with Aisha starting this investigation and deciding to do budget and step into that, what were your feelings watching her step in? What was going on inside your head?
So for me, just watching the obsession when she dove headfirst into this, it was definitely a scary sight. Because especially we've had different conversations about money over the course of us being together. Money has definitely been a root of a lot of problems with her family and with my family. And just seeing her obsess about money is something that was just really scary. But doing my own research and kind of looking at the videos that she had shown me and everything, I said, oh, this could be possible for me too.
Okay,
and
so
something that we can work on together.
Yeah. So there's family history on both sides of issues around money. And then you said scary. Is because she was obsessing and you didn't know which way it was going to go, or what was in the scary?
I think you hit the nail on the head. And she always scares me when she gets into a research type mindset, because she has to cross-reference everything. She has to look at it multiple times. She has to make sure that she did it correctly. And if she didn't, she has to go back and just do it again and again and again and again until she feels satisfied. And I guess at some point too, I didn't want to see her down spiral because it was about money, knowing our history. And we're trying to hold on to the fact, okay, no, this is still my wife. She's still okay. She's doing fine. She's just trying to help herself, and she's trying to help just our family being debt free.
Cool. So you're thorough, Aisha. Really thorough. Yeah. Figuring that this might be an obsession because of the relationship with money, downward spiral. And then what I hear you say is that didn't happen. Yeah, that didn't happen. Yeah.
No, yeah.
And you did your own research then, Jax, and of your own accord decided to join in with the budget thing?
It wasn't quite as obsessive. I think I only saw I think actually just one video, just the Nick True, just the Nick True video for YNAB, and I was sold just right then because knowing that she had done the research already, I trusted her to kind of keep guiding us along. And if I had any questions, I could just ask her. Wiki Aisha.
So for Aisha, it was a realization that I have this less amount of money, still saving the same. What's going on? Taking a deep look, having awareness. What was your story of what you saw as your relationship with money?
I mean, money, like he said, has always been super sensitive in my family. I grew up with a single mom, and there was no child support. So mom worked all the time just to support us. And it kind of was held over my head sometimes. And I didn't want that for our future children. So, you know, I was becoming obsessive because I kept thinking about, I don't want to do that to my kids. And I realized that I was kind of on this cycle with money. I would get paid and then think, oh, I can spend $150 on dinner for us. When in reality, that's probably not true. And it would end up going on a credit card. And I realized that my credit card balance was always for like a year straight within $100, even though I was putting $600, $700, $800 payments towards it. But it was still, the balance was still right within there.
Okay. So you were paying it down and spending it up and staying just about same. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. That cycle. Yeah. So you found an app. It's called YNAB, capital Y, capital N, capital A, capital B is what you used.
Yes.
So then what?
There was a learning curve for sure with YNAB. It's different than, something like Mint. Mint tracks your spending after you've already spent it. Whereas YNAB takes it and you start with whatever's in your checking account. So if you start in the 3 days after you got paid, you start with whatever's in there. And then you have to budget it out depending on your bills that are coming up and everything. So that was really difficult because I started on the 27th of the month and I get paid on the 12th and I get paid once a month. So I started at the end of the month almost getting paid. And what do I do with this little bit of money left for 15 days? And it was definitely hard. There was a lot of reconciling, going through statements, trying to figure out what am I missing here? Why is it red? Why is it yellow? Like what's going on? It took a while. And same I think for you too. You were faster than I was.
I don't necessarily think it was faster. I think it was more. I didn't have as much to reconcile, like in terms of spending, because having come from like my mom working in the banking, and she has a degree in banking and everything in business management, but seeing her still struggle with money too, I kind of already had like an idea. I've had my own struggles with money too, but being able to, I guess, objectively look at it, I guess, was easier for me.
Okay. So the setup takes a lot of work to figure it all out.
Yeah. They say that on average, if you stick with it for 3 months, then you'll see a mind, like your thoughts about money and like it's like they call it a mind shift. So your mind just kind of shifts to the YNAB way. They tell you straight up, there's a learning curve and it takes multiple months for you to figure out the platform and to figure out how you're spending your money and look at your own spending path and everything. So, and that was frustrating, I think, for me because I just wanted it done. I'm just like, I want to be debt free. I want to go. I want to figure it out. Done all the research. I want it done. But it took the months to figure it out.
Okay. So it took a full 30 days. Once you got into it and had the system figured out, what were some things that came up or showed up as you began working with reducing debt or managing or budgeting your money? Like, what kind of conversations between the two of you? What I hear is that you're doing this together, which is perfect. I think it's possible for, in some households, for one or the other adults to say, we got to do this and be all on board, and you have the other one like, no, kicking and screaming. So I think it's beautiful you work together. But what were some of the things that showed up in order to move together on this?
Why are you looking at me like that?
Because you've had more conversations about it,
Um,
or you've initiated more conversations.
yeah, I think the one that I think I struggled with in the beginning was that I always wanted him to get in there and start working on it. And I wanted him to get in there and like spend every day putting in what he's spending and figure out what he's going to do. And it wasn't working for him. Only because it's different. So we have our separate budgets. We use the same login, but we have separate budgets and we have separate accounts. For me, I was looking at my budget and then wanting to look in his, but we had to have the talk of, am I allowed to look at his? Do I have to ask before I do? And that, at first I had to ask to look at it. And it took a couple of weeks before he really felt comfortable with me being in there without asking. And now it's to the point where he'll ask me to, do it for him. Can you YNAB for me? Can you check this out for me? And it took months, and we really struggled. I struggled personally, I guess, wanting him to just be on the same page as me. Mm-hmm. And we think about money differently, and we think about our budget differently. So I had to come to the realization that that's okay. And he's going to think of it his way, and I'm going to think of it my way. It's hard.
Yeah. Good job, both of you. So once you got rolling, Jax, why stick with it? What the why of sticking with it, or
the why?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of fun, actually. Kind of saying, like, being able to, I guess, play with my own money instead of using it for play and having it play me. Actually playing with my money and working with it to kind of grow our family, then pass it on to other people that we come across.
Be able to share.
Yeah, to be able to share it and everything.
I think for you too, I think you were extremely motivated when you were in the green. I mean, you went from,
that's true.
You had debt to, you had credit card debt, and now it's gone. I mean, we paid it off. And for him, he got to see, having the red and having the credit card payment to, I don't have a $225 payment I have to make towards the credit card anymore. What am I going to do with $225? So he got to play with it, got to have fun with it, figure it out.
Yeah, at some point too, when that happened, I started feeling a little bad because with her having so much more that she has to pay off and everything, but knowing too, being her support and everything, I can figure out, okay, and so this extra money that I have, I can help her, because that's what she did for me, because I had such little, just relatively compared, and being able to basically give back to my wife who helped and everything. So I think for me, it's the fun and being able to, within myself, to give back that support.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the give and take that's happened as you massage it. And you don't have to share, specific numbers, whatever you're comfortable sharing, because there is some give and take. Like you just said, she helped you, you're helping her. So what does that look like?
I think it's a lot of conversations when we get like windfalls, like those random oh, we just got a check, a rebate from something, or a reimbursement for something.
Or the check from your grandma.
Oh yeah, my grandma gave us a random check because she gave my cousins some money and she made it even. And you have to have those conversations of, what are we going to do with this? How much debt do you have left? How much debt do I have left? What would it look like if we put it on yours? What would it look like if we put it on mine? And we did that with a few different windfalls. And then,
especially the bigger ones.
Yeah, the bigger ones for sure. And then December, I used my normal, extra money that I put towards my debt and helped you pay off your credit card.
Yeah, I think that's what it came out to. And of course, the stimulus checks helped.
Yeah.
Thanks, government.
Right. Yeah, that's more money. What are we going to do with it? How do we
exactly?
use it?
I think that's part of the windfall.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's happened twice that we've had the stimulus check come in. And it's kind of helped bolster savings and just personal checking, just to be able to keep it in there and saying, oh, hey, I can budget for another 2 or 3 months. And I know that I have it in there.
Nice. So be able to drop it in there and then see the leverage or the leeway or how far it'll go, how far it'll carry. What's changed about the way you spend money?
Just recently, we had talks about my spending. So I now, if I put anything on my credit card, or if I'm thinking about putting something on my credit card, I ask him. I say, hey, I need to put this on my credit card, or this is an automatic payment that's coming out on my credit card. He'll sit there and look at my budget and say, you have cash for this, so you need to pay it off right now. And that's something that I never did before. And I don't, go out and go on a spending spree whenever I get paid. And that's new. And we just did a sprint. So we did a no spend month. And then we kind of had
a no spend month. What's a no spend month?
Yeah. So you just buy groceries. I mean, you meal plan so you can try to keep your grocery budget small. You buy gas, pay your regular fixed expenses. That's it. That you don't go out, you don't buy extra things. If you go to the store and you see something that's on sale, you think, hey, do we need another tube of toothpaste? Probably not. I think we have 2. I know it's on sale, but that's an extra. And you keep whatever's extra for a goal at the end of it, whether that's paying down debt, going to see a movie or going on vacation or whatever. You just keep that extra money that you didn't spend.
Okay, so you're also tracking what you're not spending.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a reward at the end. Yeah. Jax, you talked about doing the no spend month. For you too, it's also included not going out to eat, not doing that part. But there was a reaction from friends or people in your circle. Tell us about that.
So there was one. This was a couple of weeks ago, and I guess a few because it's mid-February now.
Yeah.
Or early February. I talked to one of my friends because she was talking about I have all this money. I don't know what to do with it from the stimulus, and her partner, I think they have separate budgets too. She was talking about going to go get food, going to Domino's or something. And I said, well, that sounds nice, but I'm not going to. And she's like, why? I'm not spending any money. And if I do want something, I either have to make it, if I'm at work, I have to just make a burrito at work, or make something at home and bring it with me instead of spending the extra $10 or whatever to get something from Domino's or something. And she's like, well, I can give you money. I can give you money for the food, so you can spend whatever you want. And I said, that's not the point. I'm not asking for money and use it. It's not that I don't have the money. I just choose not to spend it because I've made a commitment to myself, and I made a commitment to Aisha too to do this no spend with her. And it's not something that you can just keep throwing money at, because that's part of the problem in the first place, that we keep throwing money at the problem. So
So there was this thought of you're not spending money because you didn't have money. So she wanted to give you money so you could, and it was like, no, this is a choice. So
yeah, this is a choice.
What was the reaction?
She said, no, I understand, and I'm just feeling generous. That's how she put it. She said she was feeling generous at the time.
Okay.
And I said, I appreciate it, because she was adamant, and she was, no, I'll give you money. Like, give me your Cash App, or give me something that you want me to send money to. And at first, it was like a split second, like, wait, I could, and I could make an excuse on why I can spend the money, because it's not my money. It was someone else's money. That was just a split second thought. And I said, no, that's not the point.
Right.
The point is to make that conscious decision for myself. Is this something that I need right now? Or is this something that can wait? So.
Yeah, so sticking to the principle of the thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Aisha, have you gotten any, I don't know, inquiries, pushbacks, people turning their head going, what? or pretty much people in your circle understood or been supportive?
Yeah, I didn't really talk to friends about it, just mostly family. And, my family my mom especially, she's been, really supportive of us trying to be debt free. My boss, said, good for you. Go for it. Be debt free. He's kind of doing a similar journey with his wife right now, trying to rethink budgets and, like we all do in the beginning of the year. What can we afford this year? So I didn't have a lot of pushback personally, but I also didn't really talk to most people about it.
What I know of the two of you is that you live very much intentionally. And you intentionally are green, you're intentionally buy local. And I see this budget and the debt reduction also being very intentional. How do you, or maybe it's not a big deal to combine all those? Because when I think of buying local, I think you got to spend a little more for that because you're supporting local farmers rather than mass corporations that can churn stuff out cheaper. Is that even a consideration, or is it just all blend together? This is what we do, and the money part just goes with also buying local, being green, that kind of thing.
I haven't really thought. I know at the beginning
we talked about
we did talk about it, especially when we had switched to doing the co-op. I'm spending $150 at the co-op as opposed to $115 at Hy-Vee. But we know too that $150 part of that is going to help, whereas like going to Hy-Vee or something, it's just going to go to shipping things, or shipping containers, or like coming through semi trucks that will give emissions to the environment and mess with the environment and everything. We knew going in that we'd have to spend more, and we'd have to have a talk to be able to see for ourselves, okay, this is better for us and then better for the environment.
And we weren't going to compromise.
No.
We had that discussion of, are we willing to compromise not supporting local farmers and not shopping local, even at local stores? Are we going to compromise that to be cheaper? And we both decided that that wasn't something we were willing to do.
Yeah, beautiful. New set your boundaries and decided, no, this stays, this piece stays. Yeah. Great authenticity in that, just, to stick with something you were already doing that had great meaning for you. And I can hear that, Jackson, you talk about, yeah, I could buy it from Hy-Vee and cheaper, but emissions and trucking and, it's just better for the planet, better for the local farmers to do that. And that's a commitment for the two of you. What milestones have you achieved?
Well, I don't have credit card, so that's one big one. I still, in the back of my head, also think about my student loans and everything. And during this whole pandemic and everything, haven't really had to contribute, and so I've just been using that contribution to kind of get everything else out of the way as much as possible. It's been a journey.
Well, you're a month ahead now. I mean,
That's true. Oh, I think. Well, now I'm a month ahead before, like with the new spend or the no spend. I was 2 months.
When you say a month ahead, what does a month ahead mean?
so that's kind of the whole point, the whole, I guess, mind shift of YNAB. Their whole goal is that you hit 30, your age of money is 30 days, which basically means you get your paycheck and you don't spend that paycheck until 30 days later. So you're a month ahead. So for him, it means that if we're in January, he's got February fixed expenses and laundry and cat food and groceries all budgeted out in January. And then he's got part of March budgeted out. So that the last January paycheck or the first February paycheck could pay for March and April. So for him, he can look and see, go into YNAB and see, as long as I don't take out of these categories, if something were to happen, I can go 2 months of fixed expenses and be okay.
So is there also, with that, it sounds like there's some savings built in. Is there also a buildup of cash on hand or savings available as well as paying down debt? Is that happening at the same time? Or are those like you do one first and you do the other one?
For him, there's a buildup of cash.
And it mostly comes because I get a lot of cash tips from like the bubble tea. It comes along with my paycheck, so I get actual cash with the check. And sometimes it gets too much, and I don't want to carry it around in my wallet. I said, hey, we're going to deposit X amount of dollars into my checking account, and we can use that for whatever. Or, we had a system for a while, and I would just keep $100 like in my wallet, and that turned into, do I want to track all of this by hand, or would I like to just see it electronically like we've been doing?
Yeah.
So.
But it is, I mean, you definitely you went from, paying down debt to now you have this surplus of cash sitting in your checking account.
And sometimes I have no idea what to do with it.
But you know that if you pull up YNAB.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is really cool to sit there and see, I have this extra cash, but if I pull up YNAB, I know that, my March rent, all my bills in March for him, not for me. Lord knows not for me. But all his bills in March are just paid for. So it's okay if something were to happen, or even if, he has to take a week off work or whatever. So
what's going to happen?
Right. So for him, he has that surplus of cash, but for me, I don't. Any surplus of cash that I get or have, it goes straight down to paying down my debt.
So what are the sacrifices
in terms of
that we have to do? I guess for you, and this is one of the big ones, because for the longest time, since you do make more than me, you were considered the breadwinner, and that's a paradigm. I guess kind of shifted a little, because now you have to lean more on me to take care of any of the extraneous stuff. Yeah.
Like, okay, I can pay more for the cats. I can pay more in groceries. If I have to, I can pay more or help, like give you money for health insurance or something to kind of take that load off while you are paying off your debt.
So I'm also saving up for what are called true expenses in YNAB. So those like once a year expenses. So like if you have Spotify and you pay it once a year, you save a little bit each month to pay that. And I've been saving for those, which takes a lot more money than you realize, especially if you start right before the bills due. So for me, just recently we had this discussion where I was realizing that I had no extra cash if I was saving the same amount that I've been trying to hit with paying down debt and saving for these once a year expenses and paying the fixed expenses that I pay, I have no extra cash for gas, groceries, cat food, nothing. And that's been the huge shift. Is I've never been that way in the 6 years that we've been together. I mean, if I didn't have the cash for it, I just put it on my credit card, and it wasn't even a second thought about putting it on my credit card. I was just, oh, I need to buy this. And now I have to sit there and say, hey, we need gas, so you need to be in the car to swipe your card to pay for the gas. Yeah.
Or I think it was just a few days ago. Yesterday, 2 days ago.
Saturday?
Something. And she had to go grocery shopping and get stuff for the cats. And I just gave you my card. And that's something that we've never done. It's like I've never done just in general because I'm very protective of my stuff. So, but knowing that's what we come to an agreement, I kind of had to let go of that control because knowing in my mind that she has to lean on me more, I guess I don't have the right to say no in a way.
Well, you have the
I
right.
could, but
You're
I just
choosing
I
not
just
to, right?
choosing not to, right?
Yeah. Well, and I understand, because that was, like you said, it's your card. Aisha has her card. You're both doing your own thing, parallel, but at the same time. Yeah, to be able to have it come down to, I wouldn't give anybody my debit card.
Right.
Yeah. So you said because she needed it, because it's you're providing for her, and although it was something that you would have previously kept hold of and not wanted to hand over, you did.
I think that could be considered a milestone in and of itself.
Right.
And it was weird for me. I mean, I went to the pet store. I knew I had to get so many cans of food and a bag of food for the cats. And I walk up to the register and I'm not grabbing my card. I'm grabbing his. And then I, have to use his PIN, and I'm trying to figure out all these things and these thoughts in my head, and I get in the car and I can't pull up my budget and put it in there as a transaction. I pull up his budget. And then I have to have the conversation with him of, hey, we had this much money. Well, you had this much money budgeted for cat food. I underspent there, but I overspent in groceries. What do you want me to do? And that's control that I've had to let go of, which has been also a milestone for both of us, I think. Just the control that we had before, we've had to give to the other person.
Right. So what does that do, if anything? How does that change the dynamics of the relationship between the two of you?
I don't know. I don't know if much has really changed. If anything, it's kind of the change it's just our communication. The relationship is just strengthened. There's bigger things that we have to talk about and go to each other about and discuss why this needs to be done, how it needs to be done, and what it would take to get to that point. You don't have a budget to buy groceries. You have a list. You know what needs to be paid for. And here's my card. And if you overspend or underspend, we can figure it out later. That trust, the trust is definitely grown, I guess, in that aspect.
I think it's freeing too. I mean, for me, that trust that we've built in each other, and I think too in the actual YNAB, because we both trust that with our own expenses, and then we trust each other to stick to it or try to, because we know as a family we have a goal. And I think when I was at the pet store and I was at the grocery store and I was using his card, I almost felt free, just because I thought, this means that I can still make my debt go down. The fact that I'm not using my card, the fact that I'm not dipping into the money that I had set aside to pay down my debt. And it was exciting, actually. I was excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do this.
You can make your payment to pay down the debt. You're not going to add and inch the debt up, and you're still buying groceries.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exciting. That's fun. I can hear that in your voice. So what I understand is you have together paid down 2 debts. And what's left? What's still in the debt category?
My big ones. I have 2 credit cards left. And then we had to get a new car in December. So our car payment was, we only had probably 15% left on the loan to 100% left on the loan.
Okay.
Which, the car was also really cool because we had money to put down on a down payment. And that was a choice that we had made together, and using part of his money and part of my money to do that. So
yeah, I have a vested interest in the car now.
Yeah,
so now it's
too.
Definitely
Our
car.
So the goal is to get my 2 credit cards gone. That's the main goal. And then hopefully make a big dent in the car within the next 5 years. And then together we can aggressively tackle his student loan.
Awesome. So this is really a long-term project to be able to stick with it and stay with it and keep working at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think even after we're done, we're not done.
Yeah.
Because if we stop after we paid off everything, it's a very real possibility. Even though we've spent 5 years down the line, we've spent so long cultivating these habits on being able to be better with money. It's still a very real possibility that we would spiral back down and have to start all over again.
Right.
So it's, debt reduction in and of itself is a piece, but it's also managing money well, continuing on from that. Yeah. To not end up back in debt. Yeah. I will tell you a little bit of my personal story. I have done the back in debt thing at least twice. Renewed the mortgage and took all the credit card debt and just rolled it into the mortgage because we had all the equity we needed. And darn if I didn't roll it back up. And then I did it again and I ran it back up. Not doing it anymore. So what does it mean for the 2 of you or each of you to be debt free?
Oh, for right now, I'm gonna say that I am debt free because we're not worrying about student loan right now.
Yeah, and your discretionary debt is gone.
Yeah. Like so credit card and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's the main thing that we've been talking about. The one word that we've been talking about this entire time is knowing that any money that I make or I can bring in, I can use. It's just freeing knowing that I have that money. I've worked hard for this, and I can use it how I want to and how I need to. Have it grow for me, especially after I put some money into my Roth.
Mm-hmm.
I have everything. I can start contributing better to that for 20, 30 years down the line, being able to have a chunk for retirement.
The HSA.
Mm-hmm.
Started doing that, which
mm-hmm.
we never did before, but now, not having that debt, you could put stuff into the HSA. We could use 30 years down the line if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So having options and being able to invest in yourself, and when I say you have that money to spend any way you want, what I'm hearing also is that you're doing it mindfully. It's not just, oh, I have this, I can go blow it, but
Yeah.
you know, and I love what you said, Jax, about enjoying playing with the money, you know, enjoying having it, and then deciding what, you know, where you want to put it that'll benefit you, that will, like you said, the Roth or the health savings account, and being able to, you know, set it aside for vacation, those kinds of things. That's
And
exciting.
I guess too, it's a really big eye opener for me. You know, I don't need multi-millions of dollars to be able to do this. You know, we just have just our money together, and we can achieve a lot. It may take a while, but we can still achieve a lot, and we don't need just a vast amount of money to do it.
I think that's huge, because I think when people think about doing what you're doing, if you're already carrying debt, if you're already living paycheck to paycheck, the idea is, I can't do it. I don't make enough money to do that. And what you're telling us is, through your experience, yes, you can. It's just a matter of managing it, and then it is. You don't need to win that silly lottery. You can do it despite that. And I think that's you know, a really important piece. What does being debt free mean to you, Aisha, when you get there? I mean, when you think about that.
Well, for me, you know, I don't think about, you know, 5 years I could be making more money, like my salary is going to increase. I just kind of think about, I'm going to be where I'm at. And when I add up all of my minimum payments and my extra that I'm throwing at debt, it's half my paycheck. So for me, it's, in 5 years, what am I going to do with this half my paycheck that I'm throwing towards debt right now? You know, I could afford maybe a nice preschool for a kid. Maybe I could, you know, afford putting money towards an education savings account or something like that for my kids. Or even just, hey, you know, in a year, how much would that be? Is that enough for a down payment on a house? Because those kind of things is what excites me, is the fact that in 5 years, you don't have this weight on you. You have this, I get to play now. Like, I don't get to play right now like he does. I'll get to play then. Have fun with it.
Nice. Yeah. People that are listening to this podcast, what would you tell them? What kind of words of wisdom, having gone through what you've done, you know, did the research, dug in, had some anxiety, learned to let go, both of you, learn to not have as much control, learn to support each other in this piece. And then you're making progress. And it's, like you said, there's 5 more years, and that this is going to be more of a, what I'm hearing is a lifestyle to not just pay down debt, but then to just manage money well. What words of wisdom, what do you think is important for people to know if they were going to step into this?
You'll go first?
Go ahead.
I would say communication. If you're doing it on your own, you have to communicate with yourself. Like, if you're single and you don't have a partner that you're stepping into this journey with, you have to sit there and say, and be honest with yourself of your bad habits. It sucks, but it is one of those things where you have to look back and say, I did this. That's okay. I want to be honest with myself with it and move forward and figure out a way to do better. And then if you have a partner, you have to have those same exact conversations, have the communication with yourself, and then communicate that thought process and that conversation that you had with yourself to your partner. Because if you don't communicate what you're feeling and the realizations that you had yourself to your partner, they're not going to know that. Because like in our instance, if we're thinking about money in different ways and the budget in different ways, he's not going to know that I just had a whole entire conversation with myself about my bad habits and I'm okay with it. So you have to sit there and say, I had this whole conversation. I'm upset that I did this, but I'm okay with it now. And this is how I'm feeling.
And I think on my end too, I would let people know it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be scared. Anything that's life changing is scary, whether it be health or money or anything. But if you have the discipline and if you have a clear goal in mind of what you want to do with your freedom, it's something you have to choose for yourself. You have to step up for yourself and step into that process for yourself. And that's the only way that you can be free and not just financially.
Magnificent. Those are awesome. Yeah, stay in the communication, communicate well, tell other people what's going on in your own head. And it's okay to be scared and stay in it because that's the way to freedom. Beautiful. You guys just rock. So is there anything else that, you want to say or share?
It's okay to have different goals. I will say that. And have different processes.
That's
For me, I'm going to try to do like a no spend year and really cut back. Like even if we go out to eat, I'm not going to get any alcohol. I'll just have water, coffee, or orange juice or something. And he's made the choice not to do that for himself. And that's 100% okay.
And I think in that too, in talking about the lifestyle change, it won't be as much as it was before.
Right.
And we're cutting back how often that we go out, or how often that we choose to use the discretionary money. Definitely just a lifestyle change.
Yep.
Well, Jax and Aisha, thank you very much. This has been a lovely conversation. A lot of fun to hear about your progress and what it took, and your nuggets are huge. So thank you very much for being on this Forging Life podcast. I appreciate having both of you with me.
It was fun.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Thank you. Hello, this is Coach Christine Clark. In the conversation with Jax and Aisha, they modeled a high level of communication that is just absolutely spectacular. The give and take that they expressed, Aisha not expecting Jax to work with the program or do debt reduction or handle his money the way she was, to be okay with that. For Jax to be able to hand over his debit card because he had money in his budget to cover the household expenses so that Aisha can continue to put large sums towards the debt reduction. There is acceptance and there's grace in the way that they manage. The finances, money, is such an incredibly huge energy in our lives. Our feelings go up and down around money, and we can be in such turmoil based on what we do and don't have coming in, based on the levels of debt we carry. There's a lot of pain and pleasure both attached to money. It is such a deep subject that has so much sway over our lives, and most of the time we don't even know it until we're in one of these places where we suddenly maybe have a lot of money that we didn't have, and there's that euphoria, or we're in a place where we're scrambling to make ends meet and it's hard and it's scary. To see Jax and Aisha have such high level of communication, interact so well with a seemingly absence of emotion, is not because the emotion, the turmoil isn't there, but it's because they are communicating and working through as things come up. So they stay on the same page. They stay in gratitude for what the other is able to do. They have each other's back. Aisha calling Jax when she is noticing that she's automatically going to put something on her credit card to say, this is what's going on, and he can double check her and say, no, you don't need to do that. You have the money for that. Just that piece is huge. I found so many lessons in what they shared. It was wonderful for them to be able to talk so candidly about a very personal subject. I appreciate you, Jax. I appreciate you, Aisha. Thank you for being transparent and sharing your journey to debt reduction that you're on. This is Coach Christine Clark, and this has been Forging a Life.